There was one place where I was criticized. I got a bunch of yahoos saying I called the top in crypto by recommending it. First, I need to say that I typically do not read the comments on Twitter or X, whatever it is. I have pretty thick skin, and even if I can only take so much abuse, I can't. There are just too many people who want to rake me over the coals for something I did wrong 10, 15, 20 years ago, or who think it's funny to spoof me like this crypto comment. Ha, ha, ha.
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. If you're wondering where I'm filming from, well, I'm officially kicked out of the house because, it is the holidays and they need the kitchen and the space. So I'm officially in the game room for a lot of you who don't know. I'm very into pinball. These are all my machines. I've been collecting for years. So, yeah, those are things I do outside of crypto. But so let's talk about, and if you hear any strange sounds, I apologize. The games make really weird noises and stuff. But basically, there's been some fear this week with the pullback, right? With the Bitcoin dip. Now, guys, can we just have a look at this, right? We've been literally consolidating in this area, okay? Since way back here in the beginning of the year. We've been bouncing around under, 70, between 60 and 70, and we just had a clear sky breakout. And as you can see, zooming in right here, all we're doing is just consolidating, right? We're putting in this massive parabola. So, not to be kind of funny, but everybody's like, literally like this cat. Why is it going down? It's like, this is literally us right here, guys. And the interesting thing is, as we had pointed out, I had a target of around 102,000. That coincides way back here with the 1.618. And, if we actually zoom in right here, you can actually see, look at this. I told you on this Fibonacci retracement possibility that we would come down to the 0.786. That was about $90,750. And I kid you not, that is exactly where we found that support, guys. And if you have a look right here, we broke out of the massive descending broadening wedge, and we've maintained above on the market cipher A. For the most part, we've only dipped down. So as I've been saying, these dips in here are really genuinely for buying. And, the Pi cycle top indicator, we'd have to go up to about $121,000 before you could even really start to consider this being somewhat overheated. I mean, you could see on the heat map, for example, a lot of the liquidity is above us. There's not that much downside liquidity, which means it's probably going to end up pushing the price a lot higher, right? So that's just sort of the technicals. Of course, I do have charts at the end of this video, but what I really want to discuss is the fact that Bitcoin is about to hit escape velocity. Like, we are about to see things that we have never seen before, right? We have the strategic Bitcoin reserve. And as soon as you had a pro-Bitcoin president come out and say that they were going to do it, you wouldn't believe the news that's come out recently and all the people that are looking to follow suit. So before we get into that, guys, I do want to just remind you guys that we have 2 days left on the $1,000 giveaway on Blowfin. If you guys are interested, you can use the link below in the description. You don't have to deposit anything. You just have to literally sign up, and we will pick 5 random winners who get $200 each. So make sure you guys take advantage of that, obviously. And of course, if you are looking to trade decentralized, which it's a little bit more advanced if you're new to crypto. Antarctic Exchange, they currently only have their testnet right now, so you can not really trade for real, but you can practice over there, just so, get ready for it. And obviously, they're going to have the tokens that are going to give back the rewards to the users. So it is Thanksgiving, as at least at the time I'm making this video, and this is the price of Bitcoin on every Thanksgiving. So, I think we could see that the argument against Bitcoin as a store of value, you've had days, for example, 2017, it was 8,000, 2018, it was 4,000, okay, but then 7,000 and then 18, right? So if you've bought Bitcoin basically at every top and you've had conviction to hold for at least 4 years, you've always made money. And 9 times out of 10, you've at least minimally 3x your position, right? And currently, 95,500 today, right? So pretty crazy, guys, pretty freaking crazy. And, we were around during all these. For all those people that have been watching, it's been quite the journey. And the interesting thing is that actually, if you want to compare Bitcoin to the previous cycles, it does seem like we are slightly outpacing the 2015 to 2018 market cycle, which is pretty incredible, considering a lot of people are talking about diminishing returns. But what they're not taking into consideration is what is about to happen, right? This is a big game now. This isn't just for the retail. It's not just for the cypherpunks. This is literally being adopted by full-blown nations, potentially sovereign wealth funds, which we talked about in our previous video. And the former CFTC chair says that actually the Bitcoin US Reserve makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, one of the states that are thinking about putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. What do you make about states putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it makes a lot of sense. So Trump proposed a Bitcoin stockpile, as you know, not a reserve, but a stockpile. It's a subtle difference.
Okay.
Countries have been stockpiling commodities since the dawn of time. We stockpile oil. We used to stockpile gold. China stockpiles rebar and copper and soybeans. Countries stockpile precious commodities as the world's first digital commodity.
Do they have the financial wherewithal, though, to manage that on a balance sheet?
I'd have to look into Pennsylvania's wherewithal, but I do think it makes sense. I think it makes sense for the United States. I think it's a very forward-looking idea.
This is in stark contrast to basically what we've seen over the past 4 years. Now, I don't think Bitcoin needs any politician specifically to save it, right? I mean, it's come this far, 15 years, without really anyone helping Bitcoin. But just imagine when the floodgates do open. I mean, President-elect Trump team has also interviewed pro-crypto Paul Atkins, possibly to replace Gary Gensler, who we know that the current SEC approach has been enforcement, basically keeping it gray, right? Issuing Wells notices, right? Basically raking in fines and not providing clear guidelines. And that is something that is going to change. And yeah, some of us out here, we don't care. We got our Coinbase, we got our ledgers or whatever. We're buying things. But most people, they want these products. They want the ETFs. They want to call up their guy on the phone and say, add 3% in, right? They're not as risk adverse as some of the earlier people, like you and I or whoever's watching right now. So these types of products are going to be good for Bitcoin. But here's just an example of, some of the things that have actually transpired since Trump has made this announcement. You have Brazil lawmaker proposing $18 billion in a Bitcoin sovereign reserve, guys. That's 180,000 Bitcoin. You also have the mayor of Vancouver saying he's going to put forth a motion to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet of Vancouver City. You also have Hong Kong looking to potentially eliminate capital gains tax on Bitcoin and crypto for hedge funds and family offices in a bid to become the global crypto hub, right? So what is going to end up happening when you have all these countries racing to be the most pro-crypto, right? The most forward-thinking? They start stocking up the reserves. And again, these are not the types of, quick flips of the normal investor where, I'm just looking for 5% or 10%, and then I'm just going to shave some off the top. No, we're talking about fighting global inflation, actually holding on to Bitcoin as a strategic reserve long term. Now, I'm not saying it needs to back the dollar or it needs to back this, but why not have that basket, right? And this is, again, going back to the CFTC chair. He was talking about how Trump is essentially trying to create the second industrial revolution. And within this sort of second coming industrial revolution, Bitcoin is essentially at the forefront.
This is why I do think a crypto czar is critically important, because there's a lot of promises, as you mentioned, and they're across the board. It's not just the SEC chair does this. You need tax writers to make sure that the moratorium on capital gains taxes on U.S. crypto that he's promised is done. You're going to need the White House counsel's office to write the executive orders to end what they call choke point 2.0, the debanking of crypto. You're going to need somebody to run this crypto council.
And you think he'll do it?
Oh, I think he's committed to do it because it's part of his overall. Look, Trump wants to create the second industrial revolution in America.
And he thinks crypto is one of the pathways.
Part of it, along with nanotechnology, AI, quantum computing, biotechnologies. If we could go from where we've been the last few years, which resistance to innovation, to really furthering innovation, we might be able to get to that 4.5% growth rate and get us out of our debt.
I mean, you even have Charles Hoskinson, over at Cardano talking about, we could talk about Ethereum, we could talk about Solana, we could talk about Cardano, but realistically, Bitcoin is what they are looking at right now. And he's got a crazy prediction. Anything can happen, but $250,000 to $500,000 Bitcoin possibly in the next 2 years.
As good as Ethereum can be and Solana can be and Cardano can be, let's be intellectually honest about this. Governments are talking about a strategic reserve of Bitcoin and Bitcoin alone. It's their entry point. And perhaps in 5 or 10 and 15 years, that dialogue and narrative will change. But it is my belief that Bitcoin is going to go to $250,000 to $500,000 within the next 12 to 24 months because of the investment inflows and the great interest that has been achieved. This will translate to an ecosystem whose value is starting to approach that of gold, an asset humans have used as a store of value for over 5,000 years. Simply put, Bitcoin is the store of value for the internet, and it will remain in that role for the foreseeable future now that it has a DeFi layer.
Which reminds me, bit of a side note. So a lot of people also in the comments ask about Altseason. Now, I think it's been pretty obvious that I have not really focused on altcoins basically for the last almost 2 years now. And the reason for that, there's some you can play, you can gamble with them, you can speculate, you can buy some meme coins. But really, guys, this is the time to get your Bitcoin, to understand that these bigger players, they are coming for the Bitcoin. Maybe eventually it trickles into Ethereum and these other coins. And I'm sure we will have some form of an alt season. Although I don't know that we'll ever get a true alt season the way that we used to, whereas like you just open CoinGecko and just every single coin is pumping. I think it's going to be, certain sectors, certain maybe AI coins, maybe, meme coins, chill guy. I don't know. I thought about buying some chill guy. I'm not going to lie. Why? I don't know. Because I don't know. It seems like it could do well. Not shilling it. I haven't even bought it yet, so I'm not pumping anything, but maybe I'll buy some. But so talking about altcoins real quick, but I do want to get back to like the main topic of Bitcoin. But so Ki Young Ju, he says, compared to the last cycle, the nature of capital flowing into Bitcoin has shifted. The current Bitcoin rally is primarily driven by demand from institutional investors and spot ETFs. So for altcoins to reach a new all-time high, he says, they will require significant influx of fresh capital to crypto exchanges. The altcoin market cap below its previous all-time high indicates reduced fresh liquidity from new exchange users. So if Bitcoin retail FOMO reignites, exchange users might increase potentially setting up for an alt season. However, Bitcoin's future growth is expected to come from ETFs, institutions, and maybe governments rather than retail traders on crypto exchanges. And, I have a good friend that I talked to who owns a OTC desk. And I mean, he was so bullish when I talked to him like 6 months ago. And he's like, you don't understand, you can go over the charts, and of course you could plot things on a chart and data and all that. But Bitcoin is kind of going into that, you have that S curve. We're starting to get that curve up where, all sense of logic, you could just defy it, right? Because we're essentially in price discovery. And not only are we in price discovery, but we're at a moment in time where it's not just about sitting around the Thanksgiving table and talking about Bitcoin. It's not just buying 10% of Bitcoin, with some of the retail guys. It's not being used for things on the internet, which it shouldn't be used for anyway, which is stupid because Bitcoin is traceable, by the way. So why would you use Bitcoin? It's bigger than that, right? And it's just something that I think a lot of people are underestimating the possibility of the potential of capital inflow. Like when you're looking at only about 1%, here or 2% here, and you look at the global money supply, you realize that Bitcoin is actually quite undervalued, believe it or not, where it is right now. For example, Dan Moorhead believes that we are like crazy enough to say this, but he actually thinks we're still somewhat early. I'll play a couple clips. This is a long video, so I'm going to cut it up, but listen to what he had to say.
Still early, though. I think the median institutional ownership of blockchain is zero. Most institutions have zero exposure, and even the ones that are really progressive, really been working on it, have 1 or 2% of their allocation to blockchain. So I think we still have a couple more decades to go.
You've put that 95% of financial wealth has no investments in blockchain whatsoever.
They have no material investments. Some people have
investments.
20 basis points, 30 basis points, but ultimately I think it'll be an asset class with 8% investment. I think most people in the industry just want clarity. They want rules written down so they can follow them, and it seems like the president-elect has a much more direct approach to promoting regulatory clarity. And if you think about it, the U.S. was very instrumental in making the internet happen in the United States. The U.S. government built the internet and then provided all kinds of regulatory safe harbors, and all the largest internet companies in the free world are in the U.S. In blockchain, it's the polar opposite. 93% of protocols are based, 93% of the market cap is based outside the United States. It'd be great to have that flow back.
Was it hard initially? so many people still resist. They still think it's Beanie Babies.
No, and that's why I'm still so bullish. That so many people are still so skeptical. And I was looking back at my notes. In 2016, I did 170 investor meetings all around the world trying to raise money for Bitcoin and crypto. We raised $1 million.
Oh, man.
And probably 10 or 15% of all Bitcoins have been lost. Actually, probably more. It was 13% a few years ago. But that argument is all about expected value. I wouldn't bet my entire life savings that Bitcoin's going to go up, but it's been averaging almost doubling every year for 11 years. What if it does it one more year, right?
Would you bet your life it's not going to zero?
I used to tell people it could definitely go to zero to try and be, conservative. I don't think it's possible now. 50 million people in the U.S. own it, 300 million people globally. BlackRock and Fidelity are selling it. Like it really has reached escape velocity. I think it can go. It's going up 3 orders of magnitude since we launched our fund. I think it could go up a fourth, and that puts it at 15 trillion market cap, which it still seems relatively small versus 500 trillion of financial assets. That's doable.
And again, like it or not, Bitcoin and crypto has actually survived without the United States, but that's because it's had no choice. Because the current administration clearly has been very anti-crypto. That is all about to change. And when the US starts to do something, other countries listen. And that's exactly what Mike Novogratz was talking about in this clip about others following in the US footsteps. So super quick, guys, I don't want to make an insanely long video today. I'm sure you guys have a lot to do. But, again, I talk about the Pi Cycle Top Indicator a lot. Titan of Crypto, he broke it down really nice here. And you can generally see when we start to get these crossovers, right? I mean, we're way up here. So if you kind of zoom into a potential cross, this is just extrapolating the data. He's just using a fractal. This is not necessarily how price is going to play out. But, you might have some resistance here, around the $100,000, $150,000 area. But you could have that second push. And again, we're going to probably get these 20%, 30% corrections in here. And if you're new to crypto, well, buckle up because this happens. Now, maybe it won't be as volatile because the market cap is so high and because we have such bigger players. Maybe we're only going to get 20% dips, right? Maybe we're not going to get 30 and 40% dips. But, you look back here, and I don't have my tool on this. It's a picture, obviously. But, back in 2017, there were, don't quote me on this, but there was at least six 30% corrections. There was even like a 40% correction. And this is all during a massive bull run. And this is going to happen. And they're going to try to shake you out of your position. And, you have to ask yourself, the other day, this is a side story real quick. I was actually talking to my dad, and he was asking, because he has crypto, Bitcoin and some other coins. And he was like, should I sell? Should I try to buy back? Should I buy the dip? And I was like, well, what are you looking to do, essentially? And this is for everybody. Are you looking to hold Bitcoin as a strategic reserve for yourself, as a hedge against obvious paper printing, obvious inflation, long-term, Michael Saylor buying every top? Do you need the money right now, right? If you need the money right now to live, then you have to do what you have to do. I mean, I've bought Bitcoin almost at every level, and I've sold Bitcoin at every level. I don't even want to go into how many Bitcoin I've sold, but yeah, I had to live, right? I was selling, I don't want to go into the numbers, but a lot of Bitcoin when it was like 6,000, because I had to pay my mortgage, right? And then 20,000 and 30,000. And the craziest thing, which is, it sucks to admit this out loud, but I actually have less Bitcoin today than I did 4 years ago. But Bitcoin wasn't worth as much. And I had to use it to pay my bills. So I had to sell more. Now, the cool thing is that Bitcoin is the hedge against inflation. So even though I have less Bitcoin today than I had then, on paper, my gains are actually better. So that's the beauty of Bitcoin, right? So ultimately, you have to ask yourself, what is your end goal here? Is your end goal to hold dollars? Well, then sell your Bitcoin, or sell half of it, sell some of it, you know what I mean? But for me, I don't care as much about the number as I do about owning my own property and hedging against inflation and possibly gold 2.0, having something to pass on to my children, right? So you really have to ask yourself, what are you in for? Just the quick trades? You're trying to just get in, get out? Because, if you're just looking to trade this thing, well, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, guys. I know there's a lot of analysts, which I don't even watch a lot of them because they're just absolute BS. Can I be honest with you? Like some of the guys out there, the stuff that they're calling is just ridiculous. Like I think they're just doing it for shock value. But you can see right here, the 0.786, 9,000. If you basically just blindly took that trade, just from where we are now, you'd be up about 7%. That's if you're trading, right? But really, you're in that discovery phase. And as long as we stay above this on the daily, the momentum is going to continue to the upside. I don't really have much to go over from a technical perspective because we're in price discovery. I mean, you can see right here, we might come down and retest this heart line. But for the most part, this is looking like it wants to push up. And keep in mind, this thing has been going since August of 2022. We've been in this channel, and it has not broken so far. And, we did peak here. So that was kind of signaling to us maybe we were getting a little overheated. So we can come up here, get like $130,000 Bitcoin, and I don't know, crash all the way back down to 80,000. Why not? It's possible. But ultimately, this is for buying the dips right now. Again, it all depends on what your perspective is. We formed this giant cup and handle, which potentially has a target of around $255,000. I'm not trying to put these, I'm just saying these are possibilities. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But, look at this setup. Look how similar this setup was back here when we had this massive run. And look what we're doing right here. I mean, these are basically mirror images of each other. And we're doing exactly the same thing again. So for the most part, guys, until we fall into some of these bands, we start, putting in lower lows or something of that nature, I would just assume, which you should never assume, but based on the data, that we're just going to continue going to the upside. And, the lowest point would be around, and keep in mind, these are going to keep curving up as the price moves. So, you had the low 89 EMA at around 74,000. So if you really wanted to sit and try to buy, maybe you could get some at 74,000. I don't know though. I don't know, because maybe we do have a 30% correction. Or 40%. I don't think so. But maybe that doesn't happen until Bitcoin hits 150, right? Or we get to that first level of 102. And then we crash 30%. Well, that would only bring us back to 70. But remember, during election years, Bitcoin tends to never go. I mean, this is just a historical thing. Of course, there's always a first time for everything. But historically, Bitcoin has never gone below the price that it was on election day, which I believe was around 72, 73. So if history is anything to go by, then theoretically we should not go below that level. So, again, if like the way that I'm looking at it is, and I'm still buying, by the way, people laugh at me. They're like, you still buy? Of course I still buy. What's the difference? If you understand the value proposition, Bitcoin was at 20,000 and people said it was too high. All right. I had friends that said it was too high. Then it crashed down to 3,000 twice, actually. Went up to 14, came back down to like 3.6. Still nobody bought, right? Well, that was what you were waiting for. And then it went literally to 69,000, right? And everybody said it was too expensive. And then it crashed down to 15,000. Nobody bought. Everybody, still, I know people to this day, they still have not bought. It's not real, it's fake, whatever. And now we're pushing on 100,000. And the same people are gonna say that 100,000 is too expensive. But compared to what? 100,000 is too expensive compared to 20,000? Okay, but what about to $1 million? If a Bitcoin was $1 million, is 100,000 too expensive? So it's all relative. And, just living through this space day by day and watching crypto every single day, I've clearly seen that Bitcoin is the winner. And it continues to do what it does. And all the doubters, the haters, the seasons, they come and go. The fair weather traders, they come and go. And Bitcoin has remained here. And it's been the most consistent thing in my life specifically. You can verify Bitcoin. You can trust Bitcoin more than you can trust yourself. So, I'm not trying to sell you guys on anything. I don't care at this point. Like I've made my decisions, But if you are new and you're watching, just, like I said, think about what your goals are. And yeah, $100,000 is a lot of money, guys. There's a lot of people out there that are probably never going to own a Bitcoin now, and you could have got it at 2,000. But look, the point is, like Dan Moorhead was saying, we are still early. It's crazy to think that, but you got to get out of that number because you look at the market cap of gold, you look at the M2 money supply, you look at all the real estate, all the, money printing that goes on in the world. Bitcoin seems kind of cheap still when you really think about it. So I am ranting way too much. That's not why you guys come here, not to hear me rant. You want to see the videos and the clips, and I love you guys. I hope you're having a great holiday wherever you are. If you're not, well, hope you're having a great day. And yeah, I do think we're going to hit 100,000 relatively soon, and we could probably go a lot higher than that, save for 30% corrections along the way. But, right now, it's looking like we've hit escape velocity. So that is it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. If you are looking to trade, obviously be safe about it. I think that the dip strategy is good. The EMAs are good. If you want to watch the video, I got the numbers here, but you can check the tutorials. But until next time, guys, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.